In another life, you will still find me cussing unrelentlessly. You have been warned. Content is not suitable for all listeners. Welcome. You're listening to Bewitched Banter.
I'm Krista, and I believe that people are inherently shitty.
And I'm Amy, and I tend to believe that people are naturally good.
But ironically, I'm a super believer in the supernatural and all things spiritual.
And I'm a total skeptic.
We're best friends, and in this podcast, we're seeking to explore and understand each other's perspectives with deep dives into the spooky, the spiritual, the magical, and the mystical.
And some straight up spoofs.
Today, we will be covering some stories about reincarnation. So we thought that would be perfect for the new year. So happy new year, everybody. Cheers to getting spiritual this year.
Cheers. Cheers to whatever. Cheers to whatever happiness you can find in this life.
This lifetime. If you can find any, let us know. I'm just kidding. I have so much effing joy. My niece and nephew are literally the lights of my life, and they truly just bring me the word joy comes to life when I think of them and when I'm with them.
Like, you know, when everyone's like 2022 is going to be, or like we say a year is going to be the best year.
Listen, we've said 2020 was going to be our year, me and X, and look what happened.
I'm just saying I'm a little skeptical with everything going on. So I'm hoping it's an okay year. That seems like a great wish, right?
Let's hope. I mean, let's put it out there now. Cause again, we're recording guys a week or so in advance. I'm in Chicago getting a classic white Christmas, but I'm praying 22 is going to be much better than the last 2 years. Cause I can't take it anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it no more. Oh, man.
My wish for the new year is more people getting vaccinated. Then we don't have to worry about the next crazy variant.
Fucking A. I mean, yeah. So again, I was exposed last Thursday to a person who was exposed and had to wait online for 2 fucking hours today in 30 degrees. And thank God I'm negative, but you know, he got it because of a client dinner he went to, and that bitch wasn't vaccinated. Like, what is wrong with people? I just
think we need to get to a point where they're not going to do it for the right reasons. So let's start really inconveniencing these people. Like, they can't go to restaurants. They can't step in a grocery store.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Big Tobacco did it. Fuck yeah. You're right.
Or health insurance. Like, if you're not, you have till this date to get vaccinated. And then if you don't, you're paying all out of pocket. I feel like we got to hit them where, like, in the pocketbooks. That's the only way you get people to do things.
Yeah, girl. Preach.
Okay, our COVID special's over now. Let's get into reincarnation. Dr. Amy, who doesn't know what she's talking about.
Please, if you do get reincarnated, get your ass vaccinated. Jesus Christ.
You don't have to wait till the next life.
Oh, my God. But people, though, you know. I have a sort of a happy-ish story I would like to share with you on reincarnation, though. I was saying in our history episode that the kid thing really freaks me the fuck out with kids being reincarnated. That still holds true very much. But my story happens to do with a kid. So.
Well, I did cover in my reincarnation that a lot of kids are the ones who tend to have reincarnation stories or beliefs that they were reincarnated. And maybe it's because they don't have the stigma of society, like to say they're crazy. So they feel more open to telling people.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've seen this, I saw this, or I experienced this. And where if they were an adult, they're like, oh, I can't go tell my friend Bob that because Bob's going to talk about me and tell people I'm crazy. And I'm hearing voices in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. But also kids, you know, they're so impressionable too. So I don't know. There's that too. But anywho, this kid.
And kids have crazy imaginations. Like
insanely good ones.
Well, I feel like we all do. We're just all trained out of not having imaginations.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's my belief in why people don't believe in spiritual things as much, because you're trained not to. And you're told you'd be stupid if that you'd believe that. And as you well know, I think people are silly. I'm not going to use the word stupid because I don't think it's stupid. I think it's silly not to question that it is a possibility. Like you said about reincarnation last week or just on
Yeah, but
Tuesday.
we're also trained to believe in religion a lot. So I would argue that too.
That is a valid counter argument, I will say.
Yes. I was like, there's lots of churches out there telling people they're crazy for not believing too.
That's true. That is a very valid argument. But I'm going to start it out happy. And this is something that we have been also fed back to Mr. Disney this week. But every little girl or boy wants to be a princess, right? I mean, or prince or something, right? Like, I was playing with Mila earlier, my niece, this morning, and she had like this cute little Christmas crown thing. And I was like, Mila, you want to be a princess? And she's like, yeah. And then she put it on my head. And I was like, that's right. TT's the queen. So that's right. But my point is, this little story has to do with an Aussie boy / British boy who 100% believes that he is Princess Diana of Wales reincarnated.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. Have you ever heard this story?
No, I haven't.
I just thought since we were speaking of her lately, maybe her soul was speaking to us and saying, cover her. I don't know. I just thought it'd be a nice way for us to honor her since we kind of been speaking about her lately, I feel.
She did come up in a few topics.
Yeah. So this is for you, Di. And I hope that if you are in this little boy's soul, that you find nirvana eventually after this. All right, so
is her soul still trying to learn?
Maybe. I mean, her death was so tragic, as we know. Anyway, it all started in July 2019 when an Australian TV anchor named David Campbell, he kind of co-hosts like, what do you call it?
Like a talk show?
Yeah, it's like what's the NBC one? Good Morning America.
No, yeah, like a morning talk show.
Like the Today Show or Good Morning America for the Nine Network in Australia, which is their NBC. So David Campbell, who's on that network in the mornings, wrote an article about his son, Billy. And the column was published in a magazine called Stellar Magazine. And it was in like the blog editorial section of the Sunday Telegraph. And the headline reads, David Campbell, obviously quoting him, could my son really be Princess Diana? And again, this was July 2019.
So the news reporter thinks his son is Princess Di.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you said that because I personally think it took this dude a lot of guts, being a TV personality, to say something so publicly. That sounds so wild. So
did he get a lot of ridicule and pushback?
Well, you know how Aussies are, and well, you know, Brits are very direct. Aussies are similar, I feel. And his co-host, because she brought up his article on air, like literally on live TV, and I'll add it to one of our many links. But she's like, "Say, David, I can't do Australia. Sorry, it's not gonna try anymore." So she's like, "So, David, you recently wrote a story about reincarnation, and what the heck is that all about?" And to his credit, he was like, on air, he answered her and was like, yeah, man, I thought I was crazy too, but this is what the situation was, and kind of goes through his article. But
so you don't think it's a publicity stunt?
I'm glad you asked that one too. I thought so for like a second. You know what? It could be. I got real distracted because this dude's a DILF. Let me clear up my biases.
Oh, so it's okay for good-looking people lie?
Yes.
So if you're a psychic and you're good looking, you might want to target Krista because she will probably believe every word you say.
You know, even if you fugly, you know I listen to most of it. Anyway, I'll get into
I mean, like, was his ratings down and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I need to have a publicity stunt and so people are talking about me?
It could have been because his wife is actually his producer. It very well could have been. But regardless, they have some evidence based on their son maybe thinking this.
But who knows if they didn't train their son to say these things?
Yeah, but who knows? It seemed genuine to me, but exactly, very well could have been if his ratings were down. Great.
I'll let you get to the story though. Before I'm like,
no, you're absolutely right. So again, his co-host asks him like, what the hell? And he explains it. And he really, to his credit, again, David Campbell really knew how outlandish it sounded. And in his article, he even starts off by saying, quote, all right, this is going to sound like the strangest column I've ever written, so bear with me. I never thought I would experience anything like this, but here it goes. Our youngest Billy is 4. From the age of about 2.5, he shared several tales that at first seemed silly. He provided more information as the years went on, and now we don't know what to do with it. You see, Billy believes that he was once Princess Diana, end quote.
What year was this?
2019.
And when did Princess Di pass?
In 1997. So it's been 18 years, I think, I quote below, or 13 or 18 years since she passed. When
I didn't realize she died after 2000 or before 2000.
Yeah, it was the 90s still. sadly.
Okay. Because I remember it vividly. I remember sitting on the couch with my mom watching all of it.
So sad. Well, and you guys typically aren't royal followers, right? Like others in
No,
Britain?
but if you watch the royal family, which that's where I get most of my information about the royals, but people love Princess Di because she was more relatable than other royal members. Like people felt like the way she acted and the way she talked, she didn't talk like a royal member. She talked like a normal everyday person. Mm-hmm. And so people had this obsession with her. Sure. And then Prince Charles started to really resent her because he had been in like the spotlight his whole life. And all of a sudden she kind of comes in, marries him, and people want to hear Princess Di talking, not him. And
let's be honest, they want to look at her way more than they want to look at his ass too.
I didn't know she had an eating disorder, though. Did you know that?
I did. I watched several documentaries. Oh, my God. And how could you not in that situation? I mean, it sounded like she was such an introvert, and to be forced into literally the global spotlight would be a nightmare.
The way it was portrayed to me, though, it seemed like she was excited about the idea of marrying a prince, though. Like, she wanted it a little bit because she was a teacher beforehand.
Oh.
And then she was with Prince Charles, and I feel like there was this, like, oh, he's a prince. Like, I mean, like, a lot of people probably would be excited.
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the top, who doesn't want to be a prince or princess or dream of being royalty of any kind, right?
I never would want to be in the spot like that. And then also with the royal, like, I think it's one thing to be a celebrity and kind of can be who you are and have that freedom. But I feel like being a prince or princess, you have to have like a certain, what's the word I'm looking, like a
persona. You have to have a public persona that doesn't get you into shit like Prince, the fucking Epstein one. Oh God, not Prince Charles. Well, who was Prince Edward?
Mary.
No, her boys are wonderful young men.
Prince Andrew.
Thank you. Like, don't go around fucking behaving like Prince Andrew, because you know his karma ain't not gonna be good. Let's say that, because very clearly was with this young woman who has now, thank God, put Epstein to task, as well as what's her face, Ghislaine Maxwell. So thank God. So don't behave like that. Behave like that. She was it sounds like, as to Amy's like knowledge of the British family, just like,
which is very limited.
Right. Let's clarify that. But I feel like, I don't know, you have like a more right to speak about it than I do or something. I don't know. I know.
Not exactly. I just think I watched the Royal Family show. So I'm talking like I know them. And it's obviously, again, a Hollywood's version of the truth.
But yeah, of course. I mean, God, she probably dealt with so much crap that we don't know behind the scenes other than the eating disorder. And obviously Charles was a piece of shit. So yay.
Well, he was kind of forced to marry her, though, because he had from the show, and if it's true, he had a woman who the royals didn't approve of, and it was his true love, and he always wanted to be with her. I can't remember her name.
Oh, it's not the one he married now?
Oh, it is the one he married now. And so Princess Di passed away and he finally married her. It's a complicated relationship when you watch the show, because you're like, yes, he's a horrible person, but also you're like, wow, they forced him to marry someone he didn't really want to marry.
Yeah, that would be tough too.
Yeah, so part of you, like, you have like this twisted feeling for him. Like, part of you feels sorry for him, and then part of you, you're like, well, you're being evil to Princess Di. It's not her fault. But then it's like the family kind of built this whole corrupt system.
Yep. Oh, and try to profit off of her and her likeness. I can't even. She became back to life, though, according to David Campbell, through his son, Billy, and they're Aussie, like I said. So this is all in and around Sydney, Australia. And the reincarnation topic of Lady Di in the Campbell home all started after David's wife, Lisa, who actually is British, not Aussie, she received a greeting card of Lady Di that was beautiful, like a sketched, colored pencil sketch version of Lady Di. And it was stunning, just like Di was in real life. And when their then 2-year-old son saw it, again, 2-year-old son is named Billy, he exclaimed, "Look, it's me when I was a princess." And David and his wife, Lisa, have 3 other children, it's worth noting. Or excuse me, 2 other children, a 10-year-old named Leo, and Billy has a twin sister named Betty. So Billy and Betty. And again, I don't know why Betty never because I kind of was with that Buddhist vibe you were talking about. I think it was Buddhist, but that the twins can be reincarnated. That makes
sense.
I
think that's an indigenous tribe.
Oh, indigenous. That makes sense to me. So why his twin doesn't see lady die or feel lady? I don't know. Again, David Campbell's wife and the mom of Billy is British. So you would think maybe they talked about the family or watched things about the family. They're actually, again, they reminded me a lot of your family. They weren't royal family followers or had any memorabilia in the home. There's really no reason that a 2-year-old would know anything about the royals or the princess. So
you never know. They picked up at daycare. Like, you don't know who the 2-year-old somehow might have been around.
No, that's so true. And I was honestly thinking that the whole time, because there's things that Mila will say, and she's 2, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Anyway, so yeah, absolutely. Who really knows? But this is David's account.
So Billy's 2 at this point?
Yeah, when it all started, he was around 2.5.
Okay.
When he saw the greeting card. And so again, the parents, David and Lisa, chalked it all up to being like a weird shit kids say, because, you know, again, all toddlers or kids want to be royalty, I'm sure, like dream about it. And so that's what they were thinking. It was just some weird shit that their kid was talking about.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of things kids say and you just don't really mind.
Yeah.
You don't really pay an attention or energy into it. You're like, okay.
Yep, sure. All day, all week long, rather. Sure, Ted.
Sure,
okay.
Sure,
Ted.
Yeah,
sure, Mila. I understood every word. Yep. When Billy was 3, he'd often talk about his quote unquote boys. And when asked if, you know, he was in the right mood, and they only asked him or prompted him questions when he was in a good mood, because I don't know if you came across this in your research, but people who are claiming to be reincarnated sometimes take on the emotions and the traumas of the past life person, right? So they have all these bad memories. And so
interesting. I didn't come across that, but I mean, makes perfect sense. Because in the episode, I kind of talked about like energies could pass, or they believe that sometimes it's just an energy passing from one person to the next.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, memories stored in the cells and soul, according to this belief system. And so they would only ask him when he was in a good mood, because they didn't want to remind the princess of all those traumatic things, right? So they asked him, they said, Billy, who do you mean? Like, what two boys? And then he would say, my sons, they were princes. And of course, he's referring to Harry and William. David and Lisa, the parents, were still like, that's weird, but still treated it as something like a silly coincidence. Like, what is he talking about? But soon after that incident, Billy said to his parents, also, I once had a brother named John. And they were both like, no, okay, think he's making this whole bullshit up. Everyone knows Diana's brother was named Charles, as well as her husband. But they're like, all right, whatever. This kid's making it up. Until Lisa, Mama Bear, she researched Princess Di. And on the Wikipedia page, it stated that Di did indeed have a brother named Charles, who was born about a year before she was. But, he died shortly, like a couple hours after he was born. So
I thought you said the name John.
Yeah, the brother was. So she has a brother named Charles still to this day. But in between Charles and Di, John was born. But
you said Charles. I think that's where I got confused.
Yeah. So Charles, and then in the middle was John, and then Di, and then Charles. When I say John died when he was a baby, like a few hours after he was born, sadly. So that kid wouldn't have known that, but he said it to his parents. Even more creepy details, they continued from the princess's life out of Billy's mouth. One of which these descriptions Billy claimed was the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. And I guess this is the Queen's Christmas home. Have you ever been? Never been to Scotland? Let's go.
It's on my list.
I'm a Scottish man. Ooh. I'll lift that kilt.
Yeah, Scotland's supposed to be beautiful. I want to go.
Yeah, we're going to go for sure. But this castle, Balmoral, again, was the Queen's Christmas home, but it also was Di's favorite place. And she considered this like her home.
Oh, I remember this from the Royals.
Oh, nice. So it's a thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's on the TV show.
Cool. Then you'll appreciate the images on the photo drive, because I put some on there of this castle. It was just stunning.
I wonder, I should check if they actually recorded there.
Oh, you should. Yeah. The picture I saw was like just fairy tale. No pun intended. It was gorgeous. But Billy, about this castle, recalled unicorn. And you're like, okay, any kid loves unicorns. Again, case in point, my Mila. She's obsessed with them right now. But Billy was recanting images of Balmoral Castle as they related to unicorn. And he said that they're on the inside and outside walls. And this is really interesting because A, the unicorn is Scotland's national animal, but B, the Balmoral Castle has big ass unicorn statues like embedded on, like instead of gargoyles, they're unicorns. And on the inside, there are several rooms with unicorns. So
I'm surprised they would put unicorns on their building.
Well, it's Scotland's national animal.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. And so she loved that place. And Billy, not only did he accurately identify the unicorns, he actually said the name of the castle, which at this point, he's 4 years old. So it's a little bit uncanny. And okay, the parents are like still in like weirdo, creepy territory. Like, okay. But then we get into the really creepiest part, in my humble opinion, and frankly, quite a sad part that Billy says. Oh gosh, it's so sad. Whew. So to quote Billy regarding his life as the Princess of Wales, or when he recalls being the Princess of Wales, there's me as a princess. Then one day, chills. Then one day the sirens came and I wasn't a princess anymore.
Aww.
That's so, I have chills, man. Like, how awful. And again, this Billy was born 18 years, to answer your earlier question, 18 years after Di's death in 1987. And
the reason I was asking, because I wanted to know if it was something they were talking about on the news.
Gotcha. No, that was
but if it was 18 years later, it wouldn't be a relevant topic.
Yeah. And the fact that he recalled that tragic incident that the whole world obviously became to know, unfortunately, at just 4 years old, it's creepy, but it's so tragic. Like, wow, man. Like, if indeed that is the truth, like, who really knows? But like, man. So David, the dad who wrote the whole article about his son Billy, and the TV anchor, ends his article with a very important question that you would think any like good or concerned parents would ask if their son's experiencing this.
Yeah, I'd be a little concerned too.
He says he ends it, he says, quote, "When Billy was not sleeping very well as a baby," because this just gives you a context of the kid being creepy in general. So here we go. Quote, "When Billy was not sleeping very well as a baby, Lisa went in his room and asked him why. Billy replied, 'Because they come and take me,'" David shared. When Lisa asked who, Billy pointed to the roof and said, "They do, but they bring me back at night," end quote.
Okay, that's really creepy.
Right?
But kids say creepy things all the time.
So like aliens. Ugh. I got chills thinking about that shit.
I don't know, but I think kids say some really creepy things. They don't even realize how creepy they're being.
Yeah, it freaks me out. But I did try searching David Campbell's son who thinks he's Princess Di, where is he now? And I got nothing except all the articles from 2019 and all the press.
It was probably like a 15 minutes of fame, and then everyone was like moved on to the next story. I can imagine.
Yeah, probably. But I didn't get much, as you're saying. I did get a really good Aussie blog called nowtolove.com.au. And there's an article published this October, by Faye Koros. And it's all about David's love of fatherhood. Like, this motherfucker's a dilf. He has all these like picturesque family photos on his Instagram of like.
But that's total like PR 101. You don't know if he's a terrible dad.
It was. And to answer your early question at the top, it probably was all a PR stuff.
He probably like got his kid to say these things, used his kid as a stunt, and now his kid is the weird kid in class being made fun of. That is my hypothesis. I would like to know if that's been proven.
I hope.
Reach out to us, Billy, if that's the truth.
Yeah. So dad's handle, David, is David Campbell 73 on IG. So y'all can check it out for yourself. Do your own sleuthing, investigating. But one of the images in this article was like totally like DILF of the month type vibe, but I'm still into it because holy shit, this is really hot. He posted a really cute picture of Billy. Billy's doing well, according to the IG. Billy playing the piano in the pandemic and then helping his dad volunteer, wearing a cute Be Kind shirt, which we'll post later. So
how old is he now?
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's still young. I can't wait to, we need to follow, the story needs to be like followed up in like 5 years and see what Billy has to say.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be very
when he's more of a free, independent thinking person.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what David asks. Like, will he even remember this or have any shades of Diana's soul still left? Who knows? You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that end, like, where's Billy's soul? You know, that's my question. Where's this little boy's soul?
Couldn't Billy's soul? Is he a ginger? Gingers don't have any souls?
Oh no, he's brunette or blonde. Anyway,
but yeah, gingers have no souls.
Is that for real? I don't know.
You don't get the anyway.
Wait, is that Harry Potter again?
No, it's a joke. A ginger, like you don't get a ginger hair. Ginger, the herb, the spice. Gingers have no souls. Gingers have no souls. You ever heard of that?
No.
Because ginger, the plant, you get it. Gingers have no souls.
But according to this, plants might have souls. It's a root. It's a living thing. So, anywho.
So my take on this story is that I trust maybe the kid, but I don't trust the parents. Because I feel like if you're in the limelight and maybe his ratings dropped and he just needed some extra attention, all eyes on him, and some guy who
I'm looking all right.
But you wouldn't be looking at this story if it wasn't for this headline. I don't know. I'm just a little, I don't know if I believe this family.
Honestly, you made a really great observation at the top and now about him having the ability to know how to work a story and an angle, and you're probably not wrong. But I still thought it was, I don't know, he seemed genuine to me. But again, I think I've been hypnotized by Dilfisms right now.
But haven't we covered in every episode that the people who can carry these things and make people believe are the most manipulative, and that's why they get away with these stories?
Yeah.
It's like they know how to con everyone.
You're not lying. Yeah.
They probably conned even little poor Billy.
Oh, he's so cute. Sorry, Billy, if that's the case. And if your lady die, please find Nirvana because you deserve it of the shit you've been through lately.
Amen. Snaps. Well, good job.
Thanks, dude.
So I'm going to start out with a scene to give you a little vision to start my story, right? Okay. Oh, I didn't even think about this. Both of our stories take place in Australia. Huh.
Oh, interesting. Maybe we need to be reincarnated as Aussies.
I wouldn't mind. They have a great lifestyle.
Well, aren't you sort of halfway? Because didn't they release all the like criminal Brits to Australia?
I think they did, but I cannot tell you the details or anything about it. But that sounds familiar.
So maybe you're halfway there.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever. But I wouldn't mind. Australia is beautiful and they pay people well. They believe in universal health care. So it seems like a great place to be. Apart from the whole fact in 2020, there are a lot of bushfires. Hopefully that gets a little bit better. But the year is 1987.
Hey, my birth year. So.
Oh, yeah. So 34 years ago. And in a remote wooded area.
You got to name drop me like that? Or you got to dead age me like that? Damn.
Well, you called yourself out by saying 87.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fuck, I did. Oopsie. Sorry. It's been a long week, as I said.
But so we're in a remote wooded area, right? And it's a short drive from Melbourne. And we're at Lake Elidon, which is like beautiful, picturesque, green mountains, beautiful blue lake, clear blue skies. And then there's a house there, very remote in the middle of nowhere. And it almost looks like a dorm. And there's 7 kids. And these kids are freaking creepy looking. They all have bleach blonde hair, almost like a bowl cut. So they all look identical. And they are all wearing a royal dark blue velvet matching top and bottom. So these kids are practicing yoga, right? And then all of a sudden,
which get on that, but this whole other vibe, no.
And then all of a sudden, they hear a bunch of people, like a commotion, and they look up, and there's a bunch of team of uniformed policemen running down the stairs into the room where they're practicing yoga. What? And the kids are like, "What the hell?" So they look up, and these police are like, "You're coming with us." now I got to send a picture before we go any further.
Oh my gosh.
Of these kids.
So the kids are by themselves? And that's why
they're with a person. Okay. But look, click on the link.
Okay.
And look at how creepy these kids look.
Holy fuck no.
Okay, so creepy, right?
Like aliens.
Like Hills Have the Eyes type vibe.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so completely creepy. So these kids had never stepped foot off this compound and have never talked to anyone up to this point who wasn't part of their doomsday cult in their whole entire lives.
Oh, let's see. And what do you think their ages range? Maybe.
Like 8 to 15, because I know a little bit about...
Okay. Oh my God.
Or even younger.
So 8 to 15-year-olds who have never spoken to anyone outside their creepy-ass cult family.
No.
Oh, no.
It's the only perception and the only reality they knew is of what the cult was. And
I'm good.
Their whole life was shaped by the cult leader. Her name's Anne Hamilton Byrne. And she used to be a yoga instructor, but she convinced families in the late 1960s to join her cult called the Family.
She came up in my cult when I sort of had a list, but we cut it. Oh my God. Okay, I don't know much other than the name. Just the name, and now I heard her name. Oh.
The members of this cult believe that Anne was the reincarnation of Jesus and the world was going to end. And their job as members of this cult was to re-educate any survivors of this apocalypse.
Wow.
And the family... The cult, I'm going to call it the Family, they taught a mixture of Christianity, Hinduism, and a mixture of other Eastern and Western religions. So obviously we have the Eastern religions with the idea of reincarnation. They believe by following Anne Hamilton that the inner circle of leaders would become the reincarnations of the apostles of Jesus.
Oh boy.
And they believed, again, Anne is Jesus and she's a living God. And they believe that Jesus was the great master that came down to earth to help humanity, that Anne, aka Jesus, was going to help them prepare for when this apocalypse happened. And as we all know in our cults episode, we discussed at length that typically it's more women who are the cult members, not the cult leaders. And so I know you covered Teal Swan. And this is another really rare instance where there is a female cult leader.
Yeah.
And she is said to be one of the cruelest cult leaders in all of Australia's history.
Wow. So, I think I don't want to go against our own gender here, but I think it's creepier that when women are, well, A, because it's not normalized for us to be in power of any kind, but also that mothers are supposed to be, and women are supposed to be nurturing. And so the fact that when they have this type of creepy power, I don't know, I think it makes it more, certainly more intriguing, obviously, but scary, the scary level,
or more startling, because it's how as a woman most of the time our instinct is to be nurturing, take care of people, and they're doing the exact opposite of nature, basically.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks, that's what I was trying to say.
And the motto for this cult was, quote, unseen, unknown, unheard. They were hidden away in the countryside. They wanted society to forget who they were.
These poor children. I mean, talk about kids in normal society that are unseen and unheard, and they're fucked up. Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Oh my God. This is going to go real bad real quick, isn't it?
And the only reason the cult was really discovered is because 2 children actually successfully escaped from the cult. And then that's what led the police to raiding the facility in 1987. So that's the only reason.
How did he, or do you know those details? Are you going to tell us?
No, I don't know those details.
Oh, fuck. I mean, the bravery too, because if that's all they knew, damn, good for them.
Yeah, definitely. Because that is the only reality they had. And they kind of thought, I mean, I'll get into it more because I definitely have a part where I cover an interview with one of the survivors, but
wow,
it's just so interesting. That's all they knew. They didn't know any other reality. This isn't life.
Fuck, that's so scary.
So from 1972 to 1987, several children were taken from their birth parents through adoption scams. And at one point, Anne had over 28 children living on the commune.
So what the fuck did they say to the real parents?
Well, I'm going to get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's messed up. So basically...
Oh, sorry, we lost your baby? Fuck no.
Well, adoption scams too. So like they're probably adopting children who maybe didn't have paternal parents taking care of them too through the system.
Sense. Got it.
But
of course, exploited children. Of fucking course.
Through manipulation tactics and by brainwashing her followers, she led them to believe that she could envision the future. So she's Jesus. She's a psychic. She can do it all. And
Sylvia, here we come. Watch out.
Anne is very pretty. Like, and she's very rich. So like she was known.
Teal was hot too.
And she was known for like being put together. Like she always had like expensive jewelry on, impeccable perfect outfit. And like, I think her looks kind of helped her get away with a lot of, helped her with her manipulating people. Unfortunately, like there has been studies that show that pretty people get away with more stuff or they get more jobs. Like
we totally do.
Pretty people privilege, you know. Exactly.
No. Yeah, no.
But it all started, she was a yoga instructor. So she's recruiting moms that were attending her yoga class. And one thing about this cult that I thought was really interesting, and that's not like many other cults, is that the majority of the people who joined this group were very well-to-do, very rich. They had very successful careers. And this is all thanks to Dr. Rainer Johnson. And the cult was basically born when Anne Hamilton teamed up with Dr. Rainer Johnson. And he's a spiritualist and a doctor who loved to partake in scientific experiments with LSD.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, it gets interesting.
Side note is, I actually was talking about, because my sister and I have been doing like a buckload of gummies to get through these holidays, you know what I mean? Last night we were laughing hard together, like sissies do. And we were talking about psilocybin, and I was like, I would totally do a psilocybin guided trip. I know I promised, someone else that we know about shrooms, but I would rather start with my therapist, like as a guided trip. Just FYI. Side note.
Okay. I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, I've watched a few documentaries and it's really interesting. Like they say that, especially for like people who have PTSD from war, like sometimes that's the only way they can actually like relive a trauma and let go. I think that's really interesting.
I'll let you know how it goes. My therapist probably can't legally prescribe it to me, but I'm gonna ask.
No, yeah, you would probably have to go to like Oregon or Colorado or somewhere else.
Let's go visit your sister and the baby and do a little exploration trip.
Or you could just take shrooms on your own. It might be a lot cheaper of a trip.
I might. You know what? I might in my new place when I get settled. That's a great idea. Okay. Back to LSD.
Back to Johnson. Okay. So Johnson declared that Anne was the new Messiah and she's going to save everyone from the apocalypse. So Johnson is the doctor. He basically is like Anne in several ways, and he's able to get several other doctors, physicists, scientists, and psychiatrists to become part of the family cult. Over 50% of the family's community at one point was from the medical field. So in the 1960s, the family had over 500 adult members, and each member, and like imagine these people are, if you're a doctor, I'm assuming you have a lot of money. Each member of the cult had to give at least 10% of their savings or capital to be part of the community. But to me,
that's Scientology.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that, like, when I think about cult members, I wouldn't think of people who like studied science and who have reason. So I think that's what's interesting. Is like he was able to brainwash these smart people who've been studying science their whole life, all of a sudden be like, hey, come to my side. I know a reincarnated Jesus. You think a lot of them would be like, what?
Yeah, nothing.
You're insane. Like, what the hell?
Wow. Yeah, that's scary.
So cult members were trained on how to adopt children, but they are not using, they're not doing it legally. They're using like roundabout tactics, and they would create fake legal paperwork. And some of the cult members who were doctors would actually, this is horrific, drug the mothers of children and then convince them to give their children away to the cult. So it's like they had it.
No, abso-fucking-lutely not.
She registered the family as like a school so that the children, no one's going to be knocking on the door saying, hey, where are the kids? They need to be attending school. And she didn't want the children to have any outside contact with the world. And so it's kind of her way to have the children like no one's checking up on them. The government's not kind of checking in. And that way, she was kind of smart in that way. a lot of this reminds me of Handmaid's Tale in a way. So to keep these
I've
children...
never seen that yet.
What?
Yeah, I know. Or read
You're
it.
insane.
I have had the book for many years. I don't know.
Where have you been the past 5 or 6 years? It's so
know.
good.
Watching Tiger King and True Crime.
I just don't understand how you can't have watched Handmaid's Tale. It's so good.
I know my sister loves it too, but
it's so. I mean, there's obviously episodes that are really morbid and sad, but oh my god, I feel like you would love that show.
Well, I think what's her name is a Scientologist. The main
she
actress.
Is. Yeah, she is.
That's tough.
Which is very disappointing because she's an amazing actress. I've seen her in other stuff. I can't.
Mad Men, basically. She was Peggy.
Yeah, she was in something else too recently that was really good. But moving on. A lot of this echoes Handmaid's Tale to me. So to keep the children under control, they're often subjected to like vicious beating, starvation, emotional torture, sexual assault. So
can you describe my face right now? Oh my god. I've had my hand over my mouth because I'm so upset.
And she also kept control of the children by lacing their food with LSD and other hallucinogenic drugs. So she controlled like every aspect of the kids' lives.
Fucking child abuse, man.
And this reminds me of 9 Perfect Strangers, which I know you have seen, which was also a really good TV show.
Oh yeah, soup's good.
Yeah. So when a child in the family would turn 14, they had to participate in a formal initiation, which involved them taking LSD. And they would be on a hallucinogenic trip for several days.
Wait, I'm sorry, only 14 you said?
Yes. So babies.
What? Their brain's not even fully formed at fucking 20.
Yeah, and they even discussed a little bit of like the amount of drugs she made them take did have like long-term effects on some of them. During the trip, like their hallucinogenic trip, right? Her goal was to like get them to accept her as Jesus Christ, basically.
Oh god.
Like she would like, it was like not self-led. She would lead the trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the cult would also employ other tactics of control, such as psychiatric treatments, including electroconvulsive therapy, which is often referred to as ETC. So what is ETC? That's what I asked myself. It involves
brain things, right?
Yep, a brief electrical stimulation of the brain while the patient is under anesthesia, which I hope they used. And it would also perform lobotomies on certain members.
No.
Gross, right?
So sickening.
And a former child survivor, his name is David Whittaker. He's done quite a few interviews. He said there was one rule on the commune, and it was to do everything she said. Like he said, what you would wear, what you eat, what you associate with, almost like what you would think. Like she had complete control of every aspect of your life and of your being.
So like more props to the 2 that escaped.
Mm-hmm. And the adult members of the cult believe that the children of the family were going to be the future master race. So another sickening idea.
Jesus Christ. Here we go. Hitler, get the fuck out of here. Hitler reincarnated, apparently.
Pretty much, yeah. Not Jesus, pretty much Hitler reincarnated.
Get the fuck out of here. You died like a coward anyhow, bitch.
And they would survive the apocalypse to rule the world of the future. And this is why some parents were so brainwashed that they thought, my child stands a chance to live in the next future of our world. And they would actually gift their children to the cult. Like, take my child. Let them be the master race, which is like,
no.
Like how?
No.
And the children in the cult were told that they were led to believe that Hamilton was actually their mother. Ew. And because in the picture I sent you, which we'll upload to Instagram, she had a tactic. She had them all like have the same hair color, make them look the same, because she wanted them to believe that they were like siblings, right? And she taught them to avoid any outsider that wasn't part of the family. And like if someone was to approach from outside the group, they weren't to speak to them or have any interactions. Wow. And this is the part that really reminds me of Handmaid's Tale. Sorry. Anne had this inner circle of leaders they were called the aunties, which they have aunties in Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, we're both TTs.
You don't want to be associated with these aunties. Oh. And their job, like the aunties, they have to look after the children, right? And they live in a commune. It's the appearance of a dorm. And the aunties would make the children have the same routine every single day. So it's like wake up, do yoga, meditate, homework, lessons about the cult, I'm assuming, and then go back to bed and
like the adults fucking life besides homework, but like Jesus.
Yeah, but there's like no joy, like, and do the same thing over and over and over again. And they, in the cult, they only would feed them vegetarian food, which there's nothing wrong with that. But what they did was they wouldn't give them anything substantial. So like a victim recalled, like the aunties would like deny them food. And it was basically a control tactic because they knew if like they had no energy, like there's no way for the children to fight back because they're probably
disgusting.
Because they're probably feeling malnourished, exhausted. Like they probably didn't have the fight in them physically because they're being controlled this way. Sick. And this next part is going to be a little brutal. So,
oh boy, earmuff / fast forward if you're squeamish like me, y'all. Here we go.
But basically, if the children were not to bathe the aunties, they would have to endure some sort of like cruel punishment. And survivors have talked about the aunties a common practice would hold the children's head underwater and force them to hold their hand over a candle where they would just be burned. One auntie would beat a child.
From my PTSD. Because I smell flesh right now.
Oh no. I can't think about it too long.
Okay. Yep. Keep going.
One auntie beat a child with her stiletto heels.
The fuck?
Yeah, it's very, very cruel. Like you said it right. She's reincarnated Hitler or even worse.
Yeah.
Oh no, I shouldn't say worse. Hitler's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, evil is evil, as we covered, it's just. Ugh.
She's evil. So a BBC journalist, Miriam Annenberg, I brought him up earlier. She interviewed one of the child survivors about his experience being in the cult. And his name is Ben Shenton. And he said he recalls when the police raided the commune, he said he was taken in for questioning. And his automatic response was like, I'm not going to give any information away about the family, the cult. Because he's been so brainwashed. And then it took him a long time to realize like, oh my gosh, I am free. And I can finally talk about this experience. He didn't know anything different, but he knew at that point in his life, like my childhood has been terrible. He didn't know there's like he could have another childhood, but he knew inside himself and all the other kids, they were miserable. Right. So he knew that. With the oncoming weeks and days, he kept having these huge realizations, which he said the first one that was like a huge realization was that he found out Anne was not his mother because he's been brainwashed his whole life to believe Anne is his mother. And it turned out one of the aunties, her name was Joy, was actually his mother. And this is not good news. Ben instantly was like, I know her. She's a cruel individual. And she was one who had like no remorse and was quick to like issue a punishment.
Wow.
So it wasn't like a relief, you know what I mean? He's like trying to comprehend all this. He learned that those children that were with him weren't his sisters or brothers. It was like a bomb after bomb being laid on him, right?
I mean,
and he learned, this isn't a huge one, but he learned he was actually 15 years old and not 14 years old. I'm sure they found some of like his adoption papers and put it together. Sure. And then the biggest one, a lot of the cult members had to come around to was the fact that Anne was not the reincarnation of Jesus.
Oh, whoa. What do you know? No, but after being said that, I can't imagine.
Well, that's all you would know.
Right. So, and like for Jesus to be such a, when you are a believer, such a, I don't know, pinnacle figure, and to realize that's not even real. Oof, man. Poor kid.
Yeah. And in the interview, he talks about like most of his childhood, like anyone, he like just struggled and he could never relate to like other kids. And he did end up in the foster system. And he said he struggled most of his childhood with depression. He had suicidal thoughts. And he said he was on a field trip and he always vividly remembers this. And it's kind of like the one thing that really inspired him to change. So he's on the school trip and he's in tears and he's just depressed. He's like, no one relates to me. And the teacher came up to him and he just said, quote, it's going to take time. You're going to have to learn how to relate to them. They're open to that, but the job's on you. And like, basically he just kind of was like, hey, it's in you. You can do this. You can evolve. You can relate to people. People will be here when you're ready for it.
Okay.
And he really said this inspired him. He just kind of like put the ownership on him, even though he was dealt like the worst deck of hands, hands, whatever you want to say. But he took it upon himself. He started to really just like observe people and like see how they behave, how they interacted with each other. And he started to go to church. He was able to build a relationship with his grandmother.
Oh, biological grandmother?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
But his mother, Joy, on the other hand, one of the aunties, she moved to another country.
Wow.
And he decided he really wanted, obviously, I mean, I don't blame him. He never wanted anything to do with her.
Right.
At the age of 20, which this is hard for me to fathom and understand. At this point, he's came to peace as much as you can with this kind of situation, because I don't want to say you came to peace, but as much as you can. He did get married, and at the age of 20, he was happily married, had 2 children, a really successful career. But like I said, he was attending church. So Ben, through church, learned about forgiveness. And he actually forgave his mother, Joy, and this led to the 2 of them being reconnected.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, I mean, and he talks about it at length, because you have to think about, he was like, it is your mom. Like, I wanted to know my mom. I mean, she is blood related to me.
Fucking
and like know who I was.
Certain someone we know.
But
hardcore.
Yes, I just
no wonder is all I can say. No wonder.
I just can't imagine, like, I don't know if I would have it in me to forgive his mother, but maybe like they were able to have just a functioning relationship. But it must have been such a good relationship that actually she came to visit Ben. It wasn't like they were just talking on the phone.
So she must have gotten some therapy too, or some shit, realizing how she was brainwashed.
I don't know, because this is what gets me is she comes to visit him, right? And she has been keeping in touch with Anne all these years.
Oh, no. Okay. I spoke too soon.
Well, and Joy's visiting Ben, his mom, and Ben's really taken back, because all of a sudden she asks, hey, would you go with me to visit Anne? This is like the woman who has abused him for all of his childhood, right?
Yeah.
To the age of, I think, 15.
Wow.
And again, no justice was served, because Anne never spent any time in jail. The only punishment she did receive was a $5,000 fine for creating fake adoption papers for children.
Oh, fuck Australia. Get it together.
Basically, there was never enough evidence to convict her.
What?
And
how?
I don't know. That's so many questions.
Some crazy bullshit. No. Mm-mm. She must be fucking the police or somebody. You know what I mean? There's something sketchy going on with law enforcement.
Well, she's got a lot of money. So
there you go. Bing, bing, bing.
I was talking about earlier, like she had all these doctors and physicists, people who were well-to-do, and she was taking a 10% cut of their income or the capital. Jesus and she had several properties all around the world. So when all this happened, she basically like fled to another house, and she only came back to Australia because there was a court order for a trial. But this is crazy to me that Ben actually agreed to go see Anne. In 2012, Anne at this point never went to jail, never really had to pay for any of her actions. She's living in a care facility because she has dementia. And Ben went to visit her along with his mother. And he said he recalls like Anne was like really warm and greeted Joy, and like her face, you could see that she recognized Joy right away. But she looked at Ben and she had no real recollection of like who he was. And he said it was so eerie because they were sitting there in her care facility and there's some album. He picks it up and it's all these pictures of him. Like he's 20 or so at this age. Oh. And so he's an adult, and he finds all these pictures of himself as a kid he's never seen of himself like in the cult during that time.
Wow.
And it sounded like to me, when he went to see Anne, she was still very delusional. She still
thought she was Jesus.
Yes. And she had no remorse. And
this poor kid.
She really had never really faced the truth of what she actually did or who she was. And she still had this like fantasy going on in her head. So I don't really feel like he ever really got an apology from her. And he said that was the last time he ever saw her, and she died at the age of 97. And he said he'd never celebrated her death, but it did bring him a sense of peace. But
yeah, I would imagine.
I found some other articles which were contradicted that. Some people were like saying they were dancing up and down, like dancing the streets when she passed away. But you think you would?
I would.
And he considers himself to be very lucky that he just turned out okay. I mean, imagine 15 years of your life, and this is kind of what shaped who you are. And he has started a website. It's called Rescue the Family, which helps educate people on cults or anyone who is living life in a way like they're living against their will. So he's trying to pay it back.
That's amazing.
So I mean, all around, I feel like I was trying to find a little silver lining of someone who came out okay. But that is the crazy Anne Hamilton who thought she was reincarnated, version of Jesus, but we have decided she's reincarnated version of Hitler. Probably,
yes,
most likely.
They got it wrong on the reincarnate.
You are the furthest thing away from Jesus.
Oh my God. Wow, great job. I mean, again, just women taking on this type of role is so unnatural, which was a great word to use, because just to me it's like, no, we take care of, not take down or tear down our babies, it's like, well, damn, that's
but it sounds like she really, even after like the police raided the facility and she went to trial, if she had never came around to the fact that she was delusional, like she must have been really cuckoo crazy.
I'm wondering if she ever was diagnosed with anything. Probably not, doesn't sound like, but maybe, I don't know, in my psychological opinion, my professional psychological opinion, maybe some what do you call it, bipolar. But that
was a fun episode. I feel like a little different.
I hope y'all get a new life in the new year, and that you enjoy.
Like, what if we don't want a new life?
You know what? If your life is great now, more power to y'all. But I know I'm looking for a life of light and healing in 22. So how about you? What are you looking forward to?
What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the next year. I mean, I do have some New Year goals, but I feel like they're just goals that I always have. I'm not a big like New Year, I'm going to change as a person. Let's be a little realistic, but I do have some things I want to strive for.
New year, new me.
Yeah. And it's like every New Year's resolution usually lasts like a week? I mean, most of the time.
Like that. Yeah. Or a day. I mean,
I always have like the fitness and health one. And then it's always a vicious cycle of starting up and starting over again. But I feel like most people can relate to that. And I mean, I have some career aspirations. Other than that, I don't really have anything huge. But I mean, I thought 2021, it's been kind of a roller coaster every year. But I mean, we got our vaccines in February. So I do feel like life got a lot better. Yeah. And I can't believe how fast this year went. I just feel like it flew by.
Look what happened. Like
time needs to slow down. I don't want to get any older.
Can't. Yeah.
I want to be a new soul, like your psychic told you that one time.
You'd be clumsy everywhere, learning the hard way of everything. But hey.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, 2021, hey, victory. We launched our podcast. I think that's a big deal. Things to celebrate.
We did. We sure did.
Yeah.
22, Bewitch banter coming for you.
Exactly. So I feel like some good things happened this year.
Nothing
too major, but
a lot of hard shit for me personally, as we know, but a lot of good shit too. Like you said, this would have never happened in other circumstances. And I have this weird, humble sense of gratitude. Well, A, that this year's coming to an end, but B, that like all these things that happened that I was so, I don't know, I don't want to say broken because I'm not fucking broken, hell no, but so impacted by, here I am still fucking standing, and I'm really proud of that. So I'm really grateful for all the hard things, because now I'm looking forward to coming back at them and like, I'm gonna fucking kill it. So
I like it. I like the good energy going into the new year. I mean, we can all do a little bit of that.
Yes, ma'am. Look at those pups behind you. Oh,
no, I don't think we have anything planned for next week yet. So we'll have to keep you guys tuned on our next topic, because we haven't planned that far ahead. But
yeah, if you have any ideas, once again, IGS, Bewitch Banter. Email us at bewitchbanter@gmail.com, or
let us know what you think.
Yeah, give us, please, again, rate, review, subscribe. Please, 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 please add it to your 22 list of pods to follow, because we need your help and we need your love.
We do, but I hope you enjoyed the reincarnation episode, and we'll see you on the other side of the new year.
That's right.
Peace, Bewitches.
Peace.
Music, Phantom Fun by Jonathan Boyle from premiumbeat.com. Podcast edited and produced by Krista Hins and Amy Holt.